Today we're diving into a source that deals with something I think we all find unsettling, which is waiting.
Mm,
And specifically, waiting for something that's promised as certain, but at the same time feels perpetually delayed.
right.
Our source for this is a deceptively simple passage, Luke 21, verses 29-33. It's a snippet of apocalyptic writing that has, well, it's anchored civilizations and challenged thinkers for 2,000 years.
It's an incredibly rich text.
Yeah.
And not just because of what it predicts, but, because of how it uses language and rhetoric to guarantee its own claims.
Yeah.
For a text that's so focused on the future, it gives us a surprisingly detailed look into the mindset of those first-century expectations.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack this text, not as a spiritual guide per se, but as a masterpiece of persuasive argumentation. We're going to explore its use of natural metaphor, its ambiguous timeline, and its ultimate claim to authority.
Sounds great.
So let's go directly to the source. I'll read Luke 21:29-33. When you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. At that time, Jesus told his disciples a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they come out in leaf, you see for yourselves and know that the summer is already near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all has taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away.
So what immediately stands out to me is the shift.
The shift in tone.
Exactly. You go from all this high-stakes apocalyptic talk, which comes right before this passage in Luke, to a moment of just utter grounding simplicity.
The parable of the fig tree.
Okay.
Okay, so let's unpack this metaphor of certainty. If you strip away all the theology for a moment, what is the rhetorical power of using a fig tree?
Well, it's common knowledge.
Right, no special training required. Anyone gets it.
It's brilliant because it harnesses the most stable, the most undeniable form of prediction available to an ancient agrarian society.
Seasonal change.
Seasonal change.
Mm.
Christ is grounding this potentially abstract, invisible future event, the kingdom of God, in the same predictable reality that governs your crops. It's cause and effect. If the leaves bud,
Summer has to follow.
it must follow. There is zero chance of failure in that system.
So it turns the arrival of this kingdom, which for analysis we can view as a profound socio-political or even cosmic reorganization.
Right.
It turns it from just a matter of faith into something that feels like an observable, almost scientific fact. The message is, God's plan runs on cosmic clockwork, just like nature.
Precisely. It assures the listeners that the signs they're told to watch for are reliable. They aren't just arbitrary omens. They're the natural, visible precursors to an inevitable season of fruition. It links the divine promise directly to the mechanical perfection of creation itself.
That makes perfect sense. But, and here's where it gets really interesting for me. It creates this huge intellectual tension.
Okay.
The fig tree promises certainty, but then you have the concept of the kingdom being near. What does near actually mean here? Especially when we're looking back across a 2,000-year timeline.
And that is the central interpretive challenge of the entire New Testament, really.
Hmm.
The Greek term for near suggests proximity,
Yeah.
readiness. In the immediate context of the first century, it absolutely fueled a very real expectation of immediate fulfillment.
They thought it was happening tomorrow.
They were meant to understand that the end of history was knocking at the door.
Yes. But if we apply our critical lens, we know 2,000 years have passed. The full, dramatic, visible establishment of the kingdom, as it's often imagined, hasn't happened. So doesn't that claim of nearness, when viewed historically, kind of undermine the certainty that the fig tree just established?
It forces us to look closer, to look at the infamous line that comes right after it.
Truly, I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all has taken place.
That's the one. That is the linchpin that has caused just endless debate.
Right, because if this generation means the people standing right there in front of Jesus, a 40 to 70 year span, then the historical evidence suggests the main prediction failed, or at least it required a radical reinterpretation almost immediately.
Historically, there are three main ways analysts look at this. The first is that literal time-bound interpretation, which, as you say, creates a factual problem for that original audience's expectation.
Okay.
The second argues that this generation doesn't mean a cohort of people, but a type of person.
So like the wicked, skeptical generation that will persist until the very end.
Exactly. It's a way to make the claim more elastic, moving it from a specific timeline to more of a general moral observation.
I see. That's a clever way around it. But what's the third?
Well, the most robust analytical view connects it back to the verses that come just before this in Luke 21.
Which describe the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem.
The very same, which happened in 70 AD. Under this view, all these things, the signs and the fulfillment, refer specifically to the catastrophic events leading up to and including the destruction of the temple. And that event.
Did happen within the lifespan of the generation Christ was speaking to.
It did.
So the immediate historical nearness was fulfilled by a devastating real-world catastrophe, the fall of Jerusalem, which served as a visible sign that the divine world order was shifting.
Yes.
That provides a coherent, verifiable endpoint for the timing claim.
It resolves the tension beautifully. It allows the fig tree analogy to keep its power. The signs did lead to the predicted result within the promised time frame. Right. And this localized fulfillment, the fall of that temporal political structure, then serves as a guarantee for the ultimate global fulfillment that's still to come.
That's a fascinating connection. It offers a lot of clarity to what can feel like very ambiguous rhetoric. It means the text is structured to provide both immediate validation for its first audience and extended relevance for everyone who came after.
And that leads us to the ultimate claim in this passage, which is arguably the most radical statement in the entire section.
Okay.
Jesus moves from discussing the transient reliability of natural signs, the fig tree, and the specific limits of human generations, to asserting something entirely beyond the physical universe.
We're talking about the end. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away.
It's a rhetorical mic drop.
Yep.
It really is. It suddenly elevates the speaker's authority above the entire cosmos.
Yeah.
If you look at the structure, the fig tree is certain, but only because nature is ordered. This generation is certain, but only because it has a defined temporal lifespan. But this final statement, it claims a permanence that transcends even the physical laws God himself established.
So in claiming that his words, his teachings, his promise, his entire message are more durable than the physical reality of the sky and the ground, the text is positioning him as the source of stability in a world that is, by its very nature, collapsing.
Exactly. Everything that the ancient world saw as ultimate stability, the cycles of the seasons, the mountains, the stars, is explicitly slated for obsolescence. But the verbal claim remains. This isn't just about faith, it's a profound statement on ontology, on what truly exists and endures.
Which invites us to analyze what words even means in this context. It's not just, conversational sentences.
No.
It has to mean the authoritative pronouncements, the foundational teachings, the covenantal promise itself. These are the non-negotiables.
They function as the ultimate unshakable bedrock. If you were a person in the first century or a person today facing societal upheaval, the text provides a guaranteed, staple foundation to base your hope and action on. It's asking you, what are you prioritizing?
Right.
The things that are subject to decay, like, financial systems or political power, or the foundational knowledge that claims it will outlive the entire universe.
It's a call to radically reprioritize based on the claimed lifespan of the foundation itself. If everything physical is going to pass away and only the words remain, then the practical application is clear.
Invest in the eternal claim, not the temporary structure.
And this is why this short passage is so effective. It begins with the relatable certainty of agriculture, it validates a short-term prediction with historical events, and then it uses that verified certainty to launch into an eternal claim that demands absolute reliance.
The flow is logically structured for maximum persuasive impact. It's brilliant.
So if we step back and synthesize all this, what does our deep dive reveal about the enduring relevance of this text? What should you, the listener, take away from analyzing Luke 21 today?
I think the key takeaway is recognizing this rhetorical strategy of merging the temporal and the eternal. The text forces you to constantly look for signs, the fig leaves in the world around you, while simultaneously reminding you that those signs and the world they belong to are ultimately temporary.
It's a brilliant way of managing expectation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps you vigilant for the immediate signs of change, but it provides a metaphysical safety net, the enduring word, for when those immediate signs don't lead to the ultimate conclusion as fast as you might hope.
It's a sophisticated argument for patience and permanence. It challenges you to identify what you are truly leaning on. Is it the passing trends, or is it the foundation that the text claims is more solid than heaven and earth itself?
That's a provocative thought to end on. You, the listener, are left with this mandate to observe the signs in your world, knowing that while the world is constantly changing, the core message behind those signs claims a stability that defies decay. If the universe itself is temporary, what anchor are you trusting?
And maybe consider this. What are the specific signs of organizational or societal change happening in your world today? The fig leaves of our time.
Hmm.
And how do you filter those signs through the knowledge that the framework of human history might be less stable than the ideas that govern it?
A challenging thought indeed. That's certainly enough to keep us thinking. Join us again soon as we continue our deep dive into historical sources and unpack the ideas that shape our world.